This video is going to cover plans reading civil roadway. This is the first video in a series of videos. I'm going to try to keep them under 10 minutes on these. The course description is plans reading is a basic class designed to help employees better understand what items are placed on a typical set of civil roadway plans, created by MoDOT, LPA, which is local public agency, etc. Plan sheets are provided in a manual with highway-related terms to help students after training. The topics covered in this class will be title sheet information, typical section sheets, quantity or summary sheets, plan and profile sheets, cross-section sheets, traffic control measures, erosion control plans, signing and striping plans, lighting and signal plans, a glossary of terms, and some CAD standards. The objectives are the ability to discern between the different types of symbols used on a typical set of plan sheets, right-of-way types and easements locations recognized, and the ability to determine where the project is located and what type of work is being done on a project. If you take the class in person, you'll get one full set of plans to work on. If this is the video, you're not going to get any of this stuff, but if you need some of the manual or whatever, you can always email CAD support and we'll get you one. Title sheet basics. AKA, which is also known as cover sheet. You can see the EPG, which is the Engineering Policy Guide 237.2 title sheet. It's your window to the plan set. Okay, the title sheet is intended to be a guide to the overall set of plans. The included information such as the location sketch, AADT, which is our annual average daily traffic volumes, symbology, etc., are meant to provide the reader with a good overview of what the set of plans is going to detail. Some title sheets or cover sheets, such as LPA type projects, can include local contacts and utilities in the project area. This is an example of a title sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these blocks. You'll see up in the upper left hand corner up here, you'll see that design designation. We're going to go there first, and then we're going to go down and talk about right-of-way after that. That's the block right below it. And then we're going to talk about conventional symbols. We're going to talk about those. We're going to go over to the right side. We're going to talk about the index of sheets. Then we're going to come down and talk about the length of the project. And we may talk on the title block as well. The important part about this, though, is the map we have in the middle and the project limits that is shown below. So all title sheets will have this information. Okay, it may vary from project to project, but you'll have all this information on it. So start with the project location, which is the map right in the middle of the title sheet. You're going to see that there's project limits, and they're set to define the major work limits. So if we look at this one, you can see that there's arrows. There's an arrow describing Route 50 and the project limits. You also see there's a begin project on the left side, and you'll see that there's a station. Now we're going to talk about stationing later on in the class, but it's a number set up so that we can identify the road work where we're doing the road or work on the road. Okay, and you'll also see there's an end project, and it has a station. Below that project limits, you'll see what type of work's being done, and this is the important part of this. This is the scope of work that we're talking about. This is the grading, paving, drainage, signals, signing, and lighting is going on in this project. You can look up and you can see on the map, you've got where the arrow starts, where the arrow ends. So the work's being done along that area. You also see some section township range numbers, and we're going to get into more of that as we go as well. So that's the project limits and scope of work. You're looking for this arrow down below. That will tell you exactly what's going on in that project. There's some title sheet symbols out here. You have a north arrow, which is generally this shape. If it's from MoDOT, you'll get it. It'll look just like this. It's from a consultant or LPA. It may be a little different. A bridge symbol, you'll see that. It looks just like this bridge symbol here. A scale bar. You'll always have a scale bar on a title sheet. Okay, so if you see a scale bar on there, what you're looking for is typical scales are 1 inch equals 1 mile, or 1 inch equals a half a mile. And smaller projects may be 1 inch equals 100 feet or 200 feet. It gives the reader a sense of distance with the scale bar, having that on there. And then there's some shield symbols. So you've seen on the previous slide we had some highway. Let me go back to previous. we had some shields out here, 50 and 47. You see those. So if you wanted to know what those are, you just come over to this chart here, and you can see we have, in our case, we were using the interstate shield, and we were using a Missouri highway shield. So those are there. So we got lettered, interstate, business loop, Missouri interstate, Missouri route, and U.S. highway. So all these symbols represent the roadways out there. Project location, we're going to talk about section, township, range. There's some stuff on latitude, longitude, bases and meridians, township and ranges, more information. And there's some sections in the handout. And with that, you can go back and look at in the manual for that. In this case, you're going to see there's a section, township, and range. Like this section is 2. You see a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is section 2. And then it tells us what the township is over on the left side. You'll see that it's township 43 north. In Missouri, most all townships, well, every one of our townships are north. So the number, and we're going to talk more about this as we get into it a little later. So this one's a township 43 north. And then you'll see the range. Okay, so when you're talking township, you're talking coming from the baseline going north up to this block here, this section where we're at. And then you're talking about range, you're talking about east or west of the principal meridian, and we'll talk more about that when we get to it. But in this case, we're 4 to the east of that principal meridian. Okay, and it can also be labeled differently. I mean, this one's pretty set, section, township, range, but you'll also see it in numbers. You'll see 2, 43 in, or 4 east. You'll see that. Sometimes you won't even see the north or the east. You'll just see 2, 43, 4. So it just all depends on how the designer put it together. Now, talking about the 5th principal meridian and the baseline, if you look at a map of the United States, you can kind of see, and I trimmed it down a little bit, you'll see down in Arkansas, that's where our baseline is based from, is right at this baseline in Arkansas. So anything township wise is north of that line. Okay, and then you'll see blocks, and we'll show this a little later, but it's a north of that baseline. When you're talking about range, you're talking about 5th principal meridian, you're talking about left or west or east of that line. So some places in Missouri are east when you're closer to St. Louis, Sikeston, that kind of stuff. And everything else is west. Okay, so it's based off of these 2 lines is what we're doing for a section, township, and range. Now, here's what it looks like: north, south, east, and west. Okay, so we got our little grid line out here. We have our baseline, our principal meridian. That's it, just like that previous slide showed. Now we add in our township lines. Okay, so our township lines, they run north and south. So you can see from the baseline, if we go south, it's 1 south, 2 south, 3 south from that baseline. We have nothing south in Missouri, but all our stuff's north. So you'll see a 1 north, 2 north, 3 north, 4 north. And I don't know what the number it kicks in at, but that's what it does. So we're always north on our section or township lines. So then you add in the range lines. Okay, so now that's the east and west. So if you look at the baseline where we're at, or the principal meridian where we're at, you go east, you go west, you'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 west, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 east. So that's how we come up with these numbers. Okay, and this was all created back in the 1800s, and it hasn't changed. So let's just take a section here, and we look at that, and it's a township. A township is 36 square miles. So that's what this is, a township. Okay, and if we look at the block where we're at here, we're looking at its township 3 north. So we go to the baseline, and we count blocks up. So 1, 2, 3. That's how we get 3 north. Now, if you look at the range where this block is at, we go from the principal meridian and we go to the west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 is here. So we get township 3 north, range 6 west. And we're going to call this maybe 6, I don't know, for the township or section. Okay, so here's our section. We take a township, which is 36 square miles, and we break it up into 1 square mile sections. So it looks like this. And the way they're numbered is 1 through 36. But if you noticed, they start in the upper right hand corner and they go left. And then they go to the next row and they go all the way out to 12, and then they flip down and go back the opposite way. So they're snaking through this block to get our 36 1 square mile blocks. Okay, and this is, again, was created back in the 1800s, and we're still using it. Okay, so now we could take that section, which is a 1 square mile, and this one we're going to call 6, and we go into this area here, and you take your section, which is 1 square mile, and you can divide it many different ways here. Okay, so you can see there's a northwest quarter. So if we take that and we quarter this off, at the basics you have a northwest quarter. This would be the northeast quarter. This would be a southwest quarter, and this down here will be your southeast quarter. But let's add some more to it. So if I go beyond this and I look at this little block here in this section, you're going to see it says it's northwest quarter. Okay, so let's look at that. How is it northwest quarter? Well, it's northwest quarter of the northeast quarter, which is this block here. This is, and I'll click one more time, that's the northeast quarter. So northwest is that quartered from the northeast quarter. And where's that come from? The southeast quarter. So if I click one more time, you'll see this is the southeast quarter. Okay, so we take that southeast quarter, we quarter it down, and you quarter it again, and that's how you get northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter. Okay, we also have half sections too. So you got a west half of the southwest quarter. Again, that southwest quarter is this quarter part of it. Click it again, you can see that's the southwest quarter, and then over here we have the west half. On this side you'll have the east half, and that's how that works. And you can get even deeper. Now, expectations versus reality. Okay, those previous slides showed pretty nice blocks and everything, but in reality it's rarely nice blocks. In this case, you can see that there's some land grants that are out here, and most of them they're tied to the waterways. Okay, and back in the 1800s people were given land grants, and this is how it defines it. So you're not going to get a whole square of 1 mile and stuff like that. So it's kind of a guide and gets you in the ballpark. Some of them come close, but a lot of times it does not. So here's a title sheet that has more than one project on it. Okay, you can see that it's got the project information off on the right for this. It has 3 routes. So it's got Route 59, 752, and Route U. So this is kind of a busy one where you've got all kinds of information. And again, we're going to talk about these different blocks, but just wanted to show you some of these title sheets can get really busy. Okay, starting at that upper left-hand block, we're looking at the AADT, which is the annual average daily traffic. Over here you can see it has that in the block, and it says for 2024 it is 6,842. So it shows the current year, and then it shows 20 years ahead of traffic. So we always give that 20 years ahead, which is projected to be 7559. This determines factors in design such as slopes, super elevation, pavement types, and needs for roundabouts. And we'll talk more about that as we go. DHV is a design hourly volume, and that's this number right here, 9.3%. That's the percentage of all traffic during rush hour. Roundabouts are often considered at high DHV rates. T is the percentage of trucks, and you'll see that number over in this block. T is equal to 16.4%, so there's 16% of those trucks, and that aids in determining pavement types and thickness. V is the design speed, and in this dialog you can see that this little chart up here, it says 30 miles per hour. Design speed is the speed at which the design info is selected, and it sets up the stopping site distance and other values. Okay, and again, this is located in the upper left-hand title sheet on a set of MoDOT plans. If we go below that, then you get to the types of right-of-ways that are out there. And usually what you'll see on a title sheet is what they're using. You won't see extras, but these are kind of the types of right-of-ways that we have. The right-of-way types are selected based on the type of roadway, functional use, AADT, located under design designations on the title sheet. Okay, so you have normal right-of-way, which allows entrances to maintain or allows entrances to mainline to prevent access to property owners. You have fully controlled access highways, which is access for property owners at ramps and outer roads along the entire main line. You have partially controlled access. Control is given at intersections. No entrance to the main line within reasonable sight distance of any intersection. You have controlled access highways. It's like partial controlled, but allows for more entrances and rights to bridge or culvert areas as a means of road crossings. And then no right-of-way access, usually at diamond interchanges or sight distance problems, where they'll have that. Now this is some more right-of-way information, which is also in the handout. If you get the manual, it's going to be in there as well, and it talks more, and this is more of less of what you'll see on a sheet. You'll either see the fully controlled access highway or a controlled access highway. You'll see partially controlled. It'll be one of these, and you'll see the different symbols that represent the right-of-way that's out there. Conventional symbols. So we're going below that to the left side, and you're looking at the area located under the right-of-way block on MoDOT plans. It lists all the symbols being used in the project. Note at the bottom of this box indicates that dashed or open symbols represent existing features, and that's something that's universal throughout everything that we do. If it's dashed or if it's open symbols, it's always existing. It goes with signs, it goes with pavement, it goes with any of it. Typical line types will include utilities, guardrails, signing, fences, and benchmarks. A good reference if you're not familiar with a set of plans. And if you look at this conventional symbols, usually what they'll do is they'll include what's being used on the project and get rid of stuff that don't pertain to the project. So you can see all the different symbols that are out there. And again, existing is dashed and open, and new and filled for the other one. Okay. In the title block off on the right side, you're going to see where there's a I'll blow it up a little bit so you can kind of see it. It's a little blurry, but you'll see where the route where most of the work is being done. In this case, it's 435 in Kansas City. You'll see the state will always be the MO for Missouri. You'll see the district that it's worked in. You'll see the county or counties, you'll see that, and then you'll see the job number. Okay, so it's listed on that title block, and then the last thing you'll see is usually the engineer seal, which goes in that upper right hand corner. In the bottom right, you'll see right where the MoDOT symbol is. If it's a consultant's file, you'll see their logos and symbols in there. Index of sheets. This is a really important part if you want to find a particular sheet in a set of plans. This is sort of a table of contents for the set of plans. It lists all sheets in a set of plans in numerical order. Shows a dash for those sheets that are not included. So if I look over here on the right, you'll see there's title sheets number 1. Typical section is number 2. Now the thing about some of these sheets, you'll see that typical section, which is labeled usually TS, there's 9 sheets. So what happens is you have typical section sheet 2, and you'll have a 1 of 9. Then you'll have a 2 of 9, a 3 of 9, but it's still all sheet number 2. Same with the quantities. You're going to see that this one has 20 sheets in it, and it has a QU for quantities. You'll see that. Sometimes you use SU for summary. Either way, but it's sheet 3, and this one has 20 sheets, so you'll see 1 of 20, 2 of 20. And so it's still sheet 3, but it's located in there. Now when you get the plan and profiles and plan sheets, you'll see they're numbered individually, 4 through 33. If it has any special sheets, you'll see them in there as well. Traffic control, erosion control. If there's something that's not in there, if there was not pavement marking, it would just be a dash, okay, showing that there's no sheets for it. And then the biggest thing is cross-section sheets are located at the back of the set of plans and start with its own numbering system. So if you come over, you can see here's cross-sections 1 to 93. So when you go look for a cross-section in one of those sheets, you don't want to find it up into 132. You're going to go to 132, the last sheet, flip it over, and then you're going to start at 1 to go to 93. So index of sheets, very important block. Length of project. We have the beginning of project, which is BOP, typically the smallest station. And again, we haven't talked about stationing, but we're going to get there. Then you have end of project, which is typically the largest station. Then you have apparent length. You take the end of project minus the beginning of the project, and you get the apparent length in feet. Now, what throws it all off is the equations and exceptions, which we'll talk about that later in another video as well. Lists all locations that may change the actual length of the project. Equations are changes in stationing that either increase or decrease length. Equations are discussed in the plan area when we get to that. Exceptions may include a bridge where no work is taking place. Total correction is the distance subtracted based on equations and exceptions. Then you have a net length, which is your end of project minus your beginning of project minus your corrections. And then you'll have a state length in miles, and you'll have a federal length if federal money is to be used on the project. This gives the length that is federally funded. And again, that's located under the index of sheets to the right. So you can see you get your total corrections, your length of project, you have your state length, and I don't believe there's any federal being on this one, so our state length is 0.476 miles in this case. Oh, I guess we had arrows for all this. That's cool. And just for the summary of the title sheets, you have it shows overall location of a project by section, township, range. Gives project scope, which is the work being done. Shows all typical symbols: north, arrows, scale, routes. Conventional symbols is a good reference to the symbols and the line types being used in a set of plans. AADT is average daily traffic. V is your design speed. Index of sheets is a quick reference to locate a particular sheet in a plan set. And upper right contains a box for the engineer's seal. And that will conclude the first video.